Hi. In this video I'm going to read to you the financial horror story entitled The Dark Pool Syndicate. It is covered in Swiss Frankenstein financial horror stories. The Dark Pool Syndicate. We have been able to trace a number of high-value investments in Omega that were made more or less at the same time. It was hard to trace, but we have found a way. The man that spoke looked at the man behind the desk, sitting in a high leather chair. Omega's funding has always been hard to trace. What have you found? Have you actually traced the source of the funds? The man behind the desk looked up whilst he responded. The funds came from a dark pool. We found out that both the nominee company of Omega and the investors are trading on this dark pool. The problem has been that the dark pools don't disclose details of who are trading on them. Trading is anonymous. Dark pools are dark, they are not transparent at all. The man behind the desk took off his reading glasses and put them on the table and thought for a moment. Remind me how a dark pool works? Certainly, sir. There are private security exchanges normally set up by a bank or a stock exchange. The idea is that you can sell or buy very large numbers of securities, block trades they call them, without affecting the market price. If these transactions would be done on a normal stock exchange, there would need to be a search for buyers in the open, which would affect the pricing. If you are a big pension fund that wants to sell a very big chunk of securities, it doesn't help if buyers know that you are looking to sell a lot. That's why dark pools are set up. One of the reasons, at least. You can look for buyers anonymously. They wouldn't know it is one and the same pension fund that is looking to offload a big chunk of securities. The man behind the desk did not respond for some moments before he spoke. So, do you know the identity of the investors? We know which companies have made the investments. That was very difficult already. With your support, we have gained access to data that enabled us to identify these companies and where they traded. What can we do with that information? The man standing cleared his throat. We are a lot closer, sir. But no ultimate beneficial owner? Unfortunately, sir. The man behind the desk tapped with 2 fingers on the desk while he was thinking. Well done. We've never gotten this far with Omega. We must now aim for the people behind these companies. Certainly, sir. I just received a call from our Ministry of Finance. The CIA will be here to visit us on Thursday. The CEO of DLX Asia looked at his head of compliance sitting opposite him. Did they say what the purpose of the visit is? Information. They could not say what information. Probably not about Wednesday's DLX closing numbers. The head of compliance smiled briefly. I expect they will want to dive in our dark pool. Knowing the CIA, it's probably a deep dive. With torches. We must be prepared. The ministry said their conversation with the CIA was such that they recommended cooperation. Strongly recommended cooperation. Are they threatening us? Do you think our license would be at stake? I don't know. You tell me. You're the compliance guy. If it's the CIA asking, I expect they will want UBO information. Do you have it? Head of compliance thought for a moment. Generally, yes. But as you know, some of the big traders cherish their privacy. The CEO stood up, walked to the window and looked outside. Let's be prepared for either obtaining information we should have or terminating the relationship with these traders. We can't afford having the government or CIA on our back. You're right, we can't afford that. Head of compliance was silent for a moment. There's one thing to consider though. These traders probably have good reasons to cherish their privacy and will not like it if either their information is disclosed. I hear what you're saying. Let's cross the bridge when we get there. We have identified 6 simultaneous investments in a shell company that acts as a funding vehicle of one of our prime targets, a terrorist organization we suspect to have access to nuclear weapons. The big American man looked around the table of the meeting room at the American embassy where the CEO and head of compliance of DLX Asia has gathered, along with a senior representative of the Ministry of Finance. These investments were made by 6 investors that all traded anonymously on DLX Asia. He paused for a moment. Your dark pool has been used by what looks like a syndicate of financiers that has financed Omega. This is an issue that our agency takes very seriously. We expect your country and your exchange to take this equally serious. Let me make one thing very clear. We are likely to impose sanctions that will have devastating effect on your country and your dark pool if you will not fully cooperate in a way that we are asking you to do. Do you understand that? Yes, we understand that, said the Ministry of Finance representative immediately. The CEO and head of compliance nodded. Good. What we want you to do is to give us the information about the people behind the following companies that were making the investments in your dark pool. He handed a piece of paper to the CEO, who had a quick look at it, then shoved it to the head of compliance, who looked at it as well. What if we do not have that information? Asked the head of compliance. If you do not have the information, you will have to get it very soon. It will be important not to arouse any suspicion. Any information gathering will need to look as much as possible as a routine matter. They're not going to send us any KYC information, said the head of compliance. They said they are very protective of their details and will move elsewhere if we insist. However, I've negotiated a solution. I told them it's a reality that financial institutions will need to have certain know your customer information and that I understand their issue. I propose to do an eyes-only KYC check, already much more flexible than any other qualifying exchange would accept. And they accepted that, said the CEO. It took a while and some back and forth, but yes, they bought it. And more importantly, the CIA is also accepting it, as long as I will be able to tell them what they need to know. They will actually follow me. Follow you? Yes, follow me. I need to rent a plane, as the UBO is located on a fairly remote island. I don't know how they will follow, but I trust it will be invisible. That is very good news. Well done. Head of compliance felt nervous as he looked out of the window of the small plane he had rented to fly the last stretch to the island, a flight of just over 2 hours. He had told his wife he had to go to a 2-day conference with a busy program and potentially no good phone reception. A sudden blast was the definitive end of phone reception as well as of the dark pool. Neither the plane crash or the closure of the dark pool received much attention outside a small group of family and stakeholders.